Hello, my friends. Alonzo here from synthwavedojo.com, and today is a great day for synthwave. Welcome to episode 2 of the Let's Make Synthwave show. And today I'm going to be creating synthwave 100% live, starting with an 8-bar loop and then turning it into a 60 to 90 second quick and dirty kind of arrangement. And in this episode, I will only be using a Roland Juno 60 or 106 emulation as my only source for synth sounds, and Roland TR-707 drum samples. So call this the Roland Let's Make Synthwave episode. And why am I limiting myself to only this synth and these drum samples? Because I love limitations and I love creative restraints. I think they make you more creative, they make you work harder, and they take a lot of the, they make you make better decisions and faster and not think about all the possibilities you have. They're all narrowed down to one synth and one drum sample pack. Great. This live stream is going to take around 2 hours, so buckle up and prepare. During the first hour, we're going to be creating the main stack, or our 8-bar loop that will serve as the foundation for the track, and on the second hour we're going to turn it into a 40-bar arrangement. Alrighty, before we get started, I'm working on a Synthwave Basics online course where I'll go into great depths regarding how to create drum patterns, bass lines, pads, arpeggios, chords, melodies, all that great stuff. And if you like to know more about it, then follow the link in the description. Great. With that out of the way, let's get down to business. Hello, stargazers. Hello, everyone there in the chat. Let me switch over to my DAW. And I'll be making progress as fast as I can while explaining why and what I'm doing, and take questions along the way. Great. So first things first. Today, like I mentioned, I'm only going to use Roland TR-707 drum samples and a Juno emulation. For the Juno emulation, I will be using the Arturia version. You've seen me use the Tau Uno-LX version in the past. I interchangeably use one or the other. I really like them both for different reasons. And today I'm only going to use the Juno 6V by Arturia. Oh, and I'm only gonna try to use, as to the best of my ability, the classic presets from the Juno 6V by Arturia. None of the modern presets, like the classic ones that came with the Juno 60. So that's another limitation. And I'm gonna try to do that and take it as far as I can. Maybe if there's something specific, I'll create a patch from scratch. But for the most part, I'll only use those classic patches, tweak them a little bit if needed, and I'm mostly worried about the bass, but we'll tackle that once we get to it. All right, then some other criteria or parameters for the track is that I'm going to use picked a random tempo of 105 and the key in E minor, and these are the notes in the key of A minor or the E minor scale. It's all natural except for F sharp. And I just programmed in a very basic drum group just to get a feel for the tempo. And this is our tempo. Not too fast, not too slow. I think we can do something groovy, something cool in a synthwave style. And I'm not too concerned with making this like the most synthwavy thing ever that you've heard. I'm trying to walk down a synthwave path, but I'm not gonna be too concerned with it being standard synthwave, right? So I'm just gonna get it in the ballpark and create some nice sounding music over the next 2 hours. All right. Before we start playing notes and chords and all that fun stuff, I just wanted to make a very quick recap of the sounds that I'm using. And this is just a standard 707 kick. All of these drum samples, these Roland 707 samples, are available in the Synthwave Dojo 80s Drum Machines free sample pack, which you can get for free at synthwavedojo.com/downloads. You'll look up, I think it's the first download that you can find there. There's 2 kicks in the pack. I like this one better. No particular reason. This is my snare. There's 3 snares if I'm not mistaken. I just like this one best. Open hi-hat, close hi-hat, open hi-hat, claps, crash, tom 1, tom 2, tom 3, tambourine. I'm not sure if I'm going to use all these elements, but I just have them here in case I need them. And they have no processing, no tuning, no nothing, just straight raw samples from assigned into assigned to the cells of my drum plug-in battery, which I really like to use due to some advanced features, which I may or may not use today. In any case, the first thing that I want to do is come up with some kind of chord progression to get us going. I could start with a melody, I could start with a chord progression, or I could start coming up with some kind of bass pattern that in and itself would suggest a chord progression. For today, I'm just going to go with a chord progression, then create the bass pattern, the drum pattern, and create the rest of the elements around that. Hey, Phil. Yeah, this is the way that I like to approach creating music, sometimes using these random restrictive parameters, and start with the very foundation and build as we go along. All right. So this Juno emulation by default has this classic Rhodes patch, which I'm not going to use because it's not part of the original patches. I just want to use it to get us going with the chord progression. So this is in E minor. I'm going to start with E minor, like that. Okay, from here we could do many things. Just to go easy on ourselves and keep moving, I'm going to come up with a very easy chord progression. From E, I'm going to go a full step or a step down to D major. And let's see. D major. E minor. I'm going to go back to E minor. And from here, we could go many places, but let me do another minor chord just so the progression sounds minor. I could go to A minor or I could go to B minor. Let's see. This is A, or let's see, A to B minor would be like this. You know what? I like the B minor. So the progression is going to be E minor, D major, back to E minor, then the B minor. Okay, knowing that, I'm going to forget about these chords for now. Let's just work on getting some kind of bass pattern going on. I could go for the standard 16th note rolling bass or 8th note thing. This is the vintage factory sound bank. Yeah, this is how this bass patch sounds, and there's only 2 of them. That's why I was kind of worried. Don't think this is too useful. Let's play the other one. This isn't too useful either, but let's do this. Okay, I'm going to use this patch. Let me get rid of the noise in the chorus. And I'm going to tweak it because right off the bat, it's like too soft and it has too much resonance. I want to increase the cutoff exactly right there so we get more of a white noise or high frequency energy boost or burst at the beginning of each of our notes. To give it more definition, consider this versus this. It gets lost in the mix. Okay, so this is in a great place, but I want to make it more plucky, possibly. Okay, envelope. Yeah. think this is working. I like it. Okay, it's got chorus 1 going on. This version only has one envelope for both the amp and the filter. I could use an additional envelope to mimic the Juno 106, but I'm not gonna do that today. With this, it's gonna be fine. And it's based, this patch is based on a sawtooth and a pulse width modulated wave. Yeah, I think it'll be a great starting point. Let me see what else. Let me give it just a tiny bit of resonance. Cool. Now let's play with our notes and see what I can find. Just for reference, let me plug in here the chords. A minor, I said D major, back to E minor, and B minor. Okay, like I said, I could go with the standard fare of doing 8th notes like this, or 16th notes, right? Obviously programmed into the MIDI, but let me do something else, something different for today. Okay, let me find the lowest note I can play here. This is too low. That's too high. I was just playing with the octaves, which is important to do with a bass. With a bass patch, you have to figure out like the lowest and the highest notes you can use. For example, this E is a little high. This E here is too low. Remember that E is the lowest note in my scale or in my key, so it's gotta sound very good. But if I go an octave down, you can't see it here, but it's a little undefined and muffled. So I'm going to stick to this E. And I want something based on like this triplet, quarter note triplet, like this. What was it then? E minor. Then B. I could go to this B or this B. I think the lower B will sound better. Okay, now that I know what I want to do, let me create a clip here, and I said this would be a 4-bar loop initially. Let me just duplicate this to have a reference. And I'll change the loop in a second. Alrighty. See there, Synthwave for lovers. Yeah, awesome. Thank you very much for the shout out. I see Cashman, Phil Harland, Jerome. Thank you very much, guys, for being here and for your support. I hope you enjoyed this and get something out of it. I always do. Actually, you know what? I think I learn and get more out of this by doing it than you do. I'm actually cheating because I really learn a lot every time I do this. Cool. So my E, this is too low, I think. This is fine. Okay, and I said, let me make sure it's set up to 16th notes, like this quarter note triplet. It's doom, doom, doom. Yeah, like that. Doom, doom. Bum, bum, bum. Let's do this. Exactly like that. Then I'll tweak the bass a little bit if I need to. So, now we adjust the notes. D minor. Okay, that's back to E minor. Then the question of the day is, should we go up to this B or to the other one down here? I don't want to make this big of a jump with my bass, this leap, because the bass loses power and amplitude and volume, or actually, when you go to higher octave, it gets brighter and it feels louder in your face. So if you have the first notes here, they have like a certain impact, and feel how when we jump to B, they stick out, right? They don't have the same kind of body, of frequency representation. So I rather have all my bass notes as close together as possible as the patch allows, or tweak it, or move notes around, just so we don't have those large interval jumps. So let me see how this sounds with the B down here. Yeah, I think it works. Let me just check here. I always like to start my productions and my drum patterns by setting my kick and my snare level to hit -6 dBFS in my peak meters, my console view. The hi-hat just tucked beneath the snare for now, and typically that's around -24 dBFS or thereabouts. But I do like to have my kick and my snare at -6. At least the kick definitely -6. The snare could be a little louder, or just as loud as the kick. And here I'm listening to it, I'm not watching the meters. Okay, then I'm gonna mix in my bass for now. That's too loud. Okay, that's cool. And we'll tweak things as we go along, but for now, I like it. Now let me see if I can tweak this bass patch to get a different kind of sound. Okay, I like that. Right here, it's plucky and closed, cool. But maybe we need a little bit more of amplitude by opening up the decay. Cool. I like that. I can make it darker by bringing the cutoff down. But I like the attack that this short burst of white noise, or this high-end frequency from the filter, that it is allowing. Yeah, let me pause there. It's not that the filter is creating the high frequencies. When you create a sawtooth wave or any waveform in a subtractive synth like this, you have representation of all the frequencies. That's why we use a low-pass filter to remove some of the high end. Okay, so by me adjusting the cutoff or setting it to a higher point, it's going to allow more of the high frequencies from the oscillator to come through. Just didn't want to say anything that would technically wasn't correct and confuse you. I think I like it. It's got a lot of body, a lot of like a bump, nice attack. Just let me try out for giggles if I like it with the chorus type 2 better or none at all. Without chorus, this is definitely a sound that works, and we heard it a lot in the 80s. I'm gonna stick to chorus type 2 for now. All right, now let's turn our attention to the chords. All right, for this kind of part of music or groove, there's many things we can do. I hear chords playing a rhythmic pattern, agreeing with the bass, creating movement. I also hear like some pads or strings playing throughout the progression in a pedal point style. I also hear that. I also hear an arpeggio. Dun, 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 dun. Eighth notes possibly. Okay, definitely I hear that here. And of course some kind of melodic hook or melodic element to create interest in our track. So out of those, let's tackle something rhythmic. So I'm gonna come here and let's go to the vintage factory sound bank and just browse and see if we can find something we like. I kind of like that, subdued. I could definitely make it more attacky. Let me just bring this thing up a little bit in volume. Okay, I like the first one. Cool. I'm not convinced about that. Okay, let me bring the octave up. Yeah. Now, let me see. Out of those, I think I liked, what was it, the phase brass? I like that. Let's keep it in the back of our minds. Okay, electric pianos. This is a very 80s kind of sound. Okay, I like it. I don't like that. I like this synth harp. I like that plucky one. I like pizzicato number 2. All right, let's keep moving. And here I'm doing kind of sound design because I'm just playing some of the patches and see what I like. I'm not looking for anything in particular, just something that will work in the context of rhythmic chords that are, let's say, short and staccato, that I can make them sound stabby, not like a pad. These are the strings that I said we could then use later as a kind of pad. Oh, that sounds great. That sounds very cool too. Okay, these 12 strings too, really like how they sound. Okay, so let's go back and make a decision very quickly. What was it? The pizzicato? Let's use that. Alrighty. So I want to play something that fits the pattern and the rhythm played by the bass. So write down, if I play here, I'm kind of overlapping the bass, which I don't want. But maybe here is a better choice, or play an inversion here. Okay, cool. Let's see. I don't want to do the last bit that the bass is doing. Like this. Let me get rid of the chorus noise. Like this. Not sure about that. Sounds like too much. Bum, that. What I could do is play the pattern that I just did for the first 3 bars and on the last bar, do something there like an embellishment, just to keep things interesting. All right, let me play this in. It could be easier to pencil it in. Well, you know what the heck? Let me play this. So it was. Okay. Here we go. Certainly didn't play this. Yeah, this is why maybe I should have penciled this in. There's some latency that I haven't been able to solve. Yeah, you know what? Let me get rid of this. Yeah, I should solve this by the next time that I do this, because it's kind of annoying. Okay, let me just bring the bass. There's a note there that I'm not agreeing with. Okay, bass. Okay, this is the bass. Okay, here. This should land. Or here. Here. I like the syncopation. If I were to land here on the downbeat, it doesn't sound bad. Just a little less energetic, a little boring. Okay, that's that. Let me get rid of the bass there. Let me copy this. And adjust the notes. Then A, D, F sharp. Okay, and back to E minor, and then we did B minor, which is B, D, and F sharp. Maybe I'll use an inversion. Yeah, maybe play an inversion like this. No, this note is too bassy. I'm gonna leave it there. I think it's gonna be alright. Okay. Let me give this thing some delay. Maybe standard. Filter out some of the lows and the highs from the delay repeats. I like that. And I think I had a synth verb already set up for all my synth needs. It's a lexicon or Arturia lexicon something 24 emulation. It's in a large hall setting with a decay of 2.8 seconds. let's send a little bit of this synth into the synth reverb. Now granted, it's a little too loud. And I said I would do something different here towards the end. Okay. Let's see. Nope. Okay, maybe we can do the downbeat here. And repeat. Yeah, I like that. Like a little pickup note at the end. This first note is a little short. I like it. A little bit more reverb. I think we're in a good spot here. Okay, before we go any further, let me rethink the drums. Certainly, I want to support the bass. That's very important to do. For sure, I want to snare on the 2 and 4. Kick on the 1, without a doubt. Doom, doo, doo. Okay, I think I'm gonna just duplicate this. Same with the snare. Maybe here on the last bar. I think I like it. Okay, hi-hats. We could do a lonely 8th hat on the upbeats, a continuous 8th note pattern, or 16th notes. I think something more chill, which is kind of what I'm going for. Let's start with simple 8th notes. like so. Or how about 16ths? Let's give them both a try. Sometimes you can't know what is going to work best until you try it. There's ways I can make this sound a little less robotic. So maybe for the chorus or something. But for now, I think I'm going to stick to eighth notes. And the only reason I'm changing the quantization here is so I don't have to zoom in to create my notes or be careful about what notes I'm creating. Okay. And I'm just gonna alter the velocities of these hi-hats a little bit so they don't feel so robotic. Just randomly. And it's subtle. Okay, let me duplicate this. And possibly have an open hat here. Okay, let's bring up the hats a little bit. Okay, cool. I like it. Let's give the snare a little bit of a vibe by sending it to reverb, of course. There's a couple ways I could do this. Let me go with the 80 spaces and instantiate the plugin directly on the channel. And here, let's look if we can find a snare preset. Sparkle snare, spare snare, print snare, white snare. Let's go with print snare. I don't know how this is gonna sound, but Prince was a very cool dude. Well, I like this very much. A little cut. I quite like it. Okay, and just so the hi-hats and some other stuff from the drums isn't in my face so much, let's instantiate some kind of room reverb. And I'll send some of my other drum stuff here. So I'm gonna go with Room's drum room. Yeah, this will great. This will work great. Yeah, I'm not gonna be too picky. I'm gonna leave the settings as they were. Send to my room reverb drums. Maybe that's too much. Without it is very much in my face. But with the reverb, obviously it's put in a space. You can feel it there. Okay, this may be too much. We will see as we go along if we need to tweak that reverb. Okay, so I think I'm happy where things are at the moment. Let me take a sip of water. So in the next 20 minutes, we're going to create some kind of lead, possibly an arp and a pad, and see where we can take this. All right, I see no questions here, just some great conversations. Awesome. Alright, alright, alright. Let's go for the string sound that I liked so much. So this one, it's got some very nice pulse width modulation by the LFO. I love that. Okay, so in terms of notes, for these strings, I could do something very similar or very simple, like a couple of pedal tones, just 2 or 3 notes, or even one that I will play and sustain along the chord progression without changing. Great candidates for that are always the tonic and the dominant of the key. So in this case, the E and the B, E and B, or because E minor is the cousin or the other side of the coin from G major, I could possibly also use G and D. Those 4 notes should sound very cool here. So let me see what I like. Maybe something like that. What were the chords again? Oh, this is why this is very nifty to have. Okay, so I can do E. Well, I'm on E, sounds cool. I can then do A while on D. And I can go back to E. And at the end, B, D, F sharp. And G would be the, what, B, D, F sharp? The 6th word inversion. Okay, let's hear how that sounds. Those are some great choices, not sure what I want. With the E minor, it sounds a little more stable. With the G, it sounds a little more tense, but colorful. It's all a matter of taste and figuring out what you want. Just so this part doesn't draw too much attention onto itself, because we definitely have some kind of lead or melodic element, and maybe an arpeggio. I'm gonna go with E minor, so it feels more stable and not that colorful, like more subdued in the background. Now what I'm doing there is just playing E for a long time, and then before I hear a change, I think it's every 2 bars, I first play A, then I play D, but maybe I think I'll do A and B. Let's see. Yeah, because if I jump to D, it draws too much attention onto itself, and I don't want that for now. So this is going to be my strings. I'm not going to play it. It should be something like this. 1, 2, 3. Okay. And I want to soften the attack a little bit. Yeah, like that. And give it a little bit more release. And maybe pull down the filter cutoff to make it just a tad darker, so it doesn't compete with the other stuff that I have going on, or plan to have. Alright, let's send this to our synth's verb. If we wanted a modern kind of synthwave feel, we could go with the applying some sidechain compression, but like so, maybe not 100%. Something like that. But I want to keep it more of an 80s kind of sound, and sidechain compression to create this pumping effect wasn't used in the 80s. I don't want to say at all, but not prominently at least, and not as much as it is used today. Cool. All right. Next up, before this gets too crowded, let's create some kind of melodic element to create interest in our track. Hey Mick, glad that you're here. Yeah, it can be nerve-wracking to create music in front of a live audience like this, with the warts, the mistakes, and painting yourself into a corner, then having to figure out a way to come from under the obstacles in real time. But yeah, it takes practice, but I love it. All right, so lead. I want something like we said, the factory sound bank. This is where I'm not sure if I'm gonna find something. Let me just play without the track. And I want something that we have strings that have a soft attack, long sustaining. We have chords that are stabby. So I want something that kind of sticks out. What about some of the clav sounds that I mentioned at the beginning? Not sure. What about maybe something brassy? Got carried away there a little bit. What about maybe I can do something with this brass. Let's see. just trying to find a place or an octave where the sound cuts through and sounds okay before I start playing notes. Up here it's a little shrill, possibly here, and maybe here. Don't like that C. And this sounds very dry. Let's give it some reverb, a little bit of decay, just to inspire my playing, which isn't great to begin with. Oh, that's very moody. Now, this is turning into quite the moody piece. like very dark and mysterious. Definitely something I hadn't envisioned, which is why I like creating music like this. Sometimes without a specific intention, just throwing spaghetti at the wall and see what comes out. And I think we'll be surprised once we're done. And again, I'm just going with the flow. Maybe it sounds synthwave, maybe it doesn't, maybe it's more 80s inspired than synthwave. We'll see if we can bring it back into synthwave a little bit, but I'm not too concerned if someone says, oh man, this is not standard, time cop synthwave or the midnight. I'm not too concerned about that. I just want to create some kind of great music that I like. Hopefully, maybe that you can call synthwave. We'll see. Remains to be seen. The jury's still out on that one. Let's see. Okay, let's focus on creating a melody. I could create something like short and kind of like a hook or a riff, or I could try to create something more that feels like a melody with a start, a beginning, and an end. Not sure what I'm gonna go for. Let me see if I can first find maybe like a short melodic element based on a motif to see if I like it, and then we'll try going with a more formal melody, if you will. I'm gonna call this lead brass. Something like that would work very well for, like I said, like a short melodic element that feels like it's looping, revolving on itself. And what I was doing there is simply using this G as home base and then playing arpeggiated notes and some other notes from the scale, but keep coming back to this, actually an A, or did I play A or G? Don't remember. I think G, as kind of my home base for this thing. G. I want it to have a little bit of rhythm. I don't want it to be all the notes to land on the downbeat, because it would be very boring, like this. Well, not all of them are landing on the downbeats, but I do want to create some kind of syncopation towards the end, something rhythmic, something interesting. It's in there somewhere. I like that. Kind of a short, repeating element. I know it's gonna be all messed up if I record it here, but you know what? Who cares? Okay. Here. Mm-hmm. That's exactly how I wanted it. Okay, let me cheat a little, duplicate this thing, and change the last notes. Okay, what notes could I change here? I was just changing these notes to chord tones from B minor, which are B, D, F sharp. Here we have this G, this is B, D, and F sharp, to see if we could make it sound different. I like it. One thing that I notice is that the attack of the brass sounds can sometimes be very sensitive to velocity. They will sound more open with more high frequency energy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set all the velocity of my notes to the same one. So there are no jumps. And let me use, what am I going for? Note length. I want overlap correction, because I don't want, for example, here I have this overlap which makes the brass sound different. Okay, more cleaner like this. I like this. It sounds mysterious. It's got some energy, some darkness to it, a little bit of a sadness in there. You see how the snare doesn't sound, the snare reverb doesn't sound so obnoxious or loud anymore now that we've added additional instruments in here. Alrighty. Alrighty. So here's the point where we're halfway through the show. I think we're almost ready to turn this into a 40-bar arrangement. I just want to give this another try and see if beyond this lead element that I created, I can do something a little bit more melodic. But before we do that, I'm going to take a 2-minute break and then come back shortly. So hang in there, guys. I'll be back in a couple of minutes. All right, my friends, welcome back. Just had to take a little bit of a break, get some coffee. and get ready for round 2. All right, I think in the interest of time, I am going to just run with what I have, and I'll create some other stuff as we go along. Because I do want to create this, or turn this into a 40-bar arrangement. Alrighty, so let's see. The easiest thing to do is, once you have your main stack, which is what I call your 8-bar loop that serves as the foundation for your track, this is what I would consider my drop, my chorus, my main section, whatever you want to call it. I built it in this fashion, meaning this would be like the most energetic section. So when I'm turning this into an arrangement, what I will do is just copy everything over here. And this kind of arrangement, consisting of 40 bars, in this manner, I call the basic kata in the Synthwave Dojo lingo, because it's 5 sections: an intro, a groove or verse, main, bridge, and an outro. Each of these sections is 8 bars long. 5 times 8 is 40. So, and creating a 40-bar arrangement is a great stepping stone for learning how to create a full-length track, right? That typically is around 100 to 110 or 90 bars long. It's very difficult to go from 8 bars of an idea to 90 bars when you have never done it before. So if you're a beginner synthwave producer, first get good at creating 40-bar arrangements from your main stacks, from your 8-bar loops. Then get good, once you get good at that, create it using automation effects and creating an interesting experience, then graduate onto creating 80-bar arrangements. And once you get the hang of that, then you can graduate once more to full-length tracks. It is very frustrating to go from 8-bar loop to full-length track when you haven't done it before, because you need additional skills and additional things way beyond just creating 8 bars. 8 bars is very easy. 90 bars of an arrangement where you create a story and a journey is not so easy to do. Same as running a marathon. You can't go from couch potato to running 26 miles or 42 kilometers in a month. You first have to develop your muscles, your endurance, your mental energy, your physical energy by running longer distances every week. And it could take you a week, a year to train for a marathon, depending on your health. It could take you more, or it could take you a little bit less. But the principle of increasing the distance to where it's challenging for you, not too challenging and not too easy, right? And always increasing the distance is why I recommend strongly going from 8-bar loop to 40-bar arrangement, getting good at that, then 80 bars, and then like a full-length track. Now, I'm not saying that you have to take the same idea in this case and create a 40-bar arrangement, then create an 80-bar arrangement, and then create a full-length track. No, it's just getting good at practicing, like going to the gym, going to the dojo, you're throwing kicks, you're getting the feel for it, get good at 40-bar arrangements with whatever material you have available, then get good at 80-bar arrangements, and then you can create full-length tracks. And once you get the hang of this and you know how to do it, yeah, you can go from 8 bars to full-length arrangement. Cool. All right. So as I was saying, the great thing about this way of approaching, practicing arrangement is that in this 5-section arrangement where all the sections are 8 tracks long, you have to be able to make it interesting, where something is changing every 8 bars, and it's quite challenging. It's not as easy as you would think, right? It's not like you just copy paste stuff and automatically it sounds like a cohesive journey from beginning to end. But definitely it's easier to learn doing this in such a confined and restricted fashion than trying to attempt building your skills with a full-length track. In any case, so like I said, whatever main idea or main stack I created, that's I'm just going to copy it over and consider that my main section for now. I'll tweak it if I need to, but that's how we're going to start. Then very simply, let me create a very quick and dirty arrangement. Okay, so we have to start somewhere with the intro. We have to leave somehow. We have to build into our main section, then something different is going to happen on this bridge section before we leave the track and send everybody home. Okay, and again, there's no perfect intro, no perfect anything. I'm just going to randomly think of what I could use to create for my intro. Now, for sure, I could start just randomly saying that I want the chords on my intro, and maybe I want the strings, and that's how I'm going to start. Let's see how this sounds. Okay, we get the hang of it. Let's copy the drums over here and here, and I know that I want the drums on my bridge. Okay, and for this kind of arrangement, a very easy path to take is for the outro, do the same as the intro, but the inverse. Because typically during the intro, I'll filter stuff in, and for the outro, just copy whatever you did for the intro and filter out instead of filtering in or fading in, fade out and filter out. Of course, you don't have to do this on every track, but for an arrangement like this, especially when we're under the gun with time, I can, my default way to operate is going to be that. On the outro, do the same as the intro, but the inverse. All right, so let me copy this over here. And for the groove, I have I need the bass for sure. Bass here, and I also like the bass on the bridge. So here we have drums and bass, but we don't have them on the intro, the outro. The strings and the chords are going to play here on the main and the outro, but I think I also want the chords to play during the groove and during the bridge section. I don't want all my elements to play throughout the track. That's bad arrangement practice that gets very boring very quickly. So some elements are going to play across, in this case like the chords, but we're going to change them up with filtering some other stuff. But it's got to feel like a checkered flag of sorts where you have to visually see when you take this 30,000 foot view of your arrangement, there have to be gaps in the tracks, right? Like on every track, it shouldn't play from beginning to end. This one may be a special scenario. We're going to give it some special treatment, but the bass and the drums, they are not playing the entire way through and through. That's good. The same as with the strings. They come on here, we drop them, come on back again, drop them. They come in, they come out. This lead brass only plays here, so it looks good. Looks good to me. Of course, we're going to create some crashes, toms, claps, and some other stuff, but let's get going. All right. So roughly, this to me looks like a good arrangement, at least for this 40-bar exercise. Let's think of how to start the track. One easy thing to do is let's start filtering the strings in as the intro rolls along. For this, you can use any filter plugin you have laying around. I'm just going to use this one because I like it. I'm going to create this kind of movement. All right, so I'm going to automate this. I'm going to click the control, hit Alt-A on my DAW, and I've created the automation lane. Okay, and I know that this has to be... Okay, let me bring this to the top. And bring this down. And I don't necessarily want to start at the bottom because it's going to take it. It's going to take the sound a while to get to a point where we can hear it. So I may start here. Yeah, that'll work. I can pull the curve a little bit like this. Or if I want the strings to fade in quicker, I can push the curve like this. Yeah, I think I prefer it like this for now. Okay, that will work. And just so I don't forget, I want a tom fill here, 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 definitely here. And I want to crash here. So let me take care of that immediately. Where am I? Okay. All right. Here. Hold on, this loop thing is throwing me off. Okay. Crash. All right. Let me just level the crash. And to get fancy, we can send this to our room reverb. Okay, that's too loud. And if we want to get fancier still, we can use some ping pong delay. We filter out a lot of the highs, a lot of the lows. I don't want any of the clunkiness of the hats coming through and some of the harshness either. Let's give it some modulation. Yeah, why not? Like this. That's cool. Okay, I like it. All right. So that's that. And let me copy the crash on the downbeat of every major section. Okay, I know that I want toms. Not sure if I'm going to use claps. You know what? I think I should. I should. Not sure what I'm going to do with them, but I'm just going to leave them here as a kind of a placeholder during the main bridge. Shaker, not sure. You know what? Let's tackle the claps now that we're here. Okay. Yeah, I want something short and staccato sounding. One and pum pa pum. Yeah, like that, but then do something different on the fourth bar. No. Here. Okay. Sounds good to me. 1, 2, 3, 4 bars. Okay, but we can barely hear them. Let's send them to reverb. Not so loud, obviously. I like that, but let's give it some movement with ping pong delay. Nice. Very, very cool. It's like it's bouncing or trailing into the distance. We can introduce some modulation here. Make them sound a little weird. But those are the repeats, and that's fine. Some saturation. Okay. Better. If I were to turn it off, it doesn't sound the same. And if I take the claps altogether, it's like we're missing it now, right? We're missing those short accents. Nice. Great stuff. So that's the toms, the clap. Okay, here we go, here we go, here we go. Let's keep moving, keep moving. Can't stay still. Doing too much of the same thing. All right, so where were we? Where were we? Okay, and just to finish the idea of the intro and the outro being opposites of each other, just so I don't forget, let me make this filter move. Maybe I'm gonna make it fade out or filter out faster. Cool. What I want to have here, and I don't want to forget, is a reverse crash. Okay, let's take care of that. I know that it looks like I'm haphazardly going around in circles or all over the place. The thing is that once you get into the arrangement of your ideas, it's not like a linear process where you go from the intro, you get it perfect, then you go to the next section, then to the other. I have like an overall idea of what I'm trying to do, and before I forget some of these ideas, I go and take care of them. So it's more of an iterative process. It's like cyclical, in which I will make progress in a certain section, move on to another section, come back to it, add a little bit, because the changes that I do will have impact to some other stuff down the line. So I gotta keep coming back to it like cyclically until there's nothing else to work on. So it's not a linear process where you start on bar 1 of the arrangement and end on bar 40 and don't work on anything else, and you go on this progressive straight line. It's not like that, or at least I don't do it like that. Okay, so here we said we were using Roland TR-707 drum samples, and let's do that. Continue with that idea. So I'm just going to take this crash, put it here. Let me turn this into a reverb sound. A stereo sound. Let me reverse. I was thinking about reversing. Okay, stereo, Control R. What? Okay, audio. Reverse audio. I think that's what I did. Don't know why it didn't work. Okay. And from here, what I will do is tweak the volume of the clip envelope, and I don't want the symbol to end so sharply, so what I'll do is just pull it back a little, maybe even apply just a tiny crossfade. Okay, that's fine. Cool, that'll work. And I need to enable here snap to event end, so I can snap this like so. Of course, it's too loud. Okay, and for this, I added this to a stereo track, but it's obviously still dead center because the sound is not stereo. So what I'm going to do here is a trick with delay called the Haas effect. I'm not going to explain psychoacoustically how that works, but it's simple. You take a sound, you pan your dry sound to the left, and then you pan just one delay with no repeats or anything to hard right, and that delay you give it a distance or a delay of between 10 to 20 milliseconds, less than 30, and it will sound like a stereo sound. It fools our ears into thinking it's stereo. And for that, I have a stereoized preset. As you see here, one delay is set to 0 milliseconds on the left-hand side. The other one is panned to the right, 20 milliseconds. Now we hear it on both sides. If you go over 30 milliseconds like this, you may hear it as two distinct sounds. And less than 20, like 10 or so, we may not perceive it. Okay, so I think the sweet spot is between 15 to 25, but experiment with that. Like I said, no feedback, no nothing. We're just using that delay for that effect called the Haas effect, because of the dude, I think he was Dutch or something, who not invented, because you don't invent phenomenon like that, but I don't know, identified it or claimed it in the scientific world. All right. That works for me. Let's see where we are. Okay, and I want this crash to be swelling into all of our major sections. Like so. And I think I even want the crash to do that. Okay, so this is going to be ear candy. What I also want is like a noise sweep before every major turn of events, such as this. And what I will do, I will create a note. It doesn't matter which note, because I'm going to use white noise. Oops, not what I wanted. I could do this with a white noise sample. Not go through the complication of doing this, but I think I just want to show you how to do it. You just take a synth that has a noise generator or noise oscillator. I'm going to turn everything off. Let me get this one back to the default. Okay, switch this off, this coarse noise. I only want the noise generator. So it doesn't matter what note you play, it's always going to sound the same. And let me just loop this. Okay. Now there's many ways to do this, but what I want to do is automate the filter frequency going from low to high. So I will just simply move this control, hit Alt-A, and the automation lane is going to be created for me in Studio One. And I think this is all the way up. So all the way down. And here's where I could spend a lot of time tweaking the curve. Should it be like this? Or like this? Like faster at the beginning? Or faster towards the end? I think faster towards the end works better. Or I like how it sounds. Maybe... And of course, I can also experiment with how low I'm starting out, because it makes a difference. Yeah, I think I like it. So, yeah, that works well. I'm gonna do this. All right, and let's get fancy. One thing I want to do is filter out a lot of the bottom end, and I'm gonna use this filter, this high pass filter, to filter everything below 300. Otherwise, it's going to introduce a lot of rumble into our arrangement. I don't want that. The other thing is, let's increase the resonance so we get more of a whooshing sound. Yeah. And let's add some chorus delay. Nice. Some more feedback. More stereo. Nice. And a little bit of, or plenty of reverb. Yeah, I like this. Let's hear it in context. Yeah. I think I like it there. Cool. All right, so we have our noise. Oops. Our noise sweep here. I also want to have it before every major section. In a track, you don't necessarily want to have like the noise sweep every 8 bars, the same as with the reverse crash. I think for this kind of arrangement, it works because it's very short. So there's like not enough time for the listener to say, hey, I've heard this thing played a million times before. So in this context, again, and for practice, it'll work just fine. So we have our noise sweep, our reverse crash. I do want to get some tom fills in. We have the claps, we have the crashes. I think that's as much ear candy as I want to create today. Oh, and just remind me, once we get the toms in place, you know what? Before I forget, let me do this. Maybe pull this back just a little bit. That's a nice thing to leave a gap there to build anticipation. I'm gonna do that. Yeah. At the start of every major section. Cool, that's that, that's that. The only thing I'm still missing is the toms. So let's make them like that just so I remember. Okay, cool. Let me mix this a little bit here in this section. Maybe we could get fancy, apply some compression to the bass to give it more body, more solidity. Using an LA2A emulation. I like it there. Too loud. The bass wasn't too strong and too prominent back in the 80s as it is today. So for this track, I'm gonna go with a adequate bass, not powerful and punchy in your face, but more there or barely there. Like Madonna and Prince and those guys would have used back then. And in this context, the kick may be just a little bit too loud. Not sure. Okay, I'm gonna leave it like that. Let's bring in our lead element. I like where this is. Just trying to find a place where all these three things play well with each other. I don't want the lead to be super in my face like this. I want to hear it clearly, but not dominate the mix. if I turn off the strings, we immediately notice they're gone. I want them as filler, as glue, but not as a prominent element in the arrangement. Okay, for now, that's gonna be it's gonna work just well. Alright, so we have our intro. I'm liking this very much. Okay, let me make a couple of notes here. First off, I want something like a foreshadowing or an anticipatory element during the groove section. I just need like some kind of melodic accent somewhere so it doesn't feel so static. Melodic accent somewhere. Of course, we still need the tom fills. And, whoops, here on the bridge, I want something different. I'm not sure what. Maybe an arpeggio for the bridge. Okay. So let's take care of all of these things. Let's do the melodic accent or melodic element, like a counter melody or something that foreshadows what's going to come next. Let's see what we got. Oh, and definitely let me, for example, the chords, I do want to automate the decay or filter cutoff here and there. I think with the automation for the bass, I'm fine. The strings already have some automation. And as far as the other elements, I don't think the lead needs anything. Okay, but I'm gonna come back to this. Okay, groove. We need something here. Maybe I can use this lead brass. Something like that, just to give me some kind of color. I could do something like that, or we could do a foreshadowing technique where I take this, but get rid of most of these notes, so you're only familiar with the first three. I like it. I think that works. So we're going to call this, I don't know, whatever. Groove. Or, you know what? The foreshadowing element. The foreshadow. That's what I'm going to call that. Cool. So now it doesn't feel like so dry and naked. But just enough to get us by. To keep us listening for 8 bars. That's all I'm trying to get here. yeah, that'll work just great. Coming back to our list, this is done. The chords, how much time we got? 15 minutes. Alrighty, let me take care of the tom fills. And maybe in the interest of time, I'll use 2 fills. I'm not going to program 4. On the end. Let's not get that fancy. Yeah, I like that. And it's bone dry. And I'm panning them high tom, left 62 or 60% left, tom 2 dead center, tom right 62, like the opposite of tom 1. Now these guys, I want to send them, first of all, I'm going to create a VCA fader for these channels so I can control them all like this. In your DAW, maybe you can group them. I also have the group functionality here, but I prefer this one. All right, and I'm also going to send, so let me create here a FX channel. I'm going to call this Tums Verb because I want it to be different from the room verb. And I'm also going to use the 80s spaces. But before I do that, let me send from all of my drums to the Tums Verb. And in here, let's look for some Phil Collins Tums or something. Yeah, I like that. Double check the mix is at 100%. All right. Maybe that's too much, or maybe... Yeah, I'm gonna leave it like that. I could tweak this for hours and hours, and that's the kind of thing that takes the most in an arrangement, those little details that ultimately add up and count very much. But in the interest of time, I'm gonna leave that be, and I'm going to duplicate this and copy it over. So I only have one more tom fill to create here. And not go too much over time. Boom, 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 boom. Let's get fancy. Okay. Boom. Boom. Okay, now where I want to get fancy, because there's nothing fancy about this. This actually sounds like the Phil Collins In the Air Tonight drum fill. what I'm going to do is set my grid to 32 30-second notes. And I want to create a very short roll here. Okay, and the key to making this work is make the velocity of these notes that are part of the roll, make it lower than your main hit, this one. Like so. And even just different, maybe like this. Alrighty, let me put this back to 16s. Okay. Yeah, that works for me. Let's do this at the end as well. Alright, this is the home stretch, guys. We have the tom fills, we have the arpeggio for the bridge, the chords automate something. Overall, okay, arpeggio for the bridge and the chords. Alright. Bridge. Need another instance of Juno. Okay, I'm going to call this ARP. Oh, just for housekeeping purposes, let me make sure that all my synths are going to the same bus, which is synth bus. I like to organize all of my drums and bass tracks to go to a drum bus or subgroup, depending on how it's called in your DAW. So I need to make sure that all of my drums and the bass, that's the way that I like it, go to my drum bus, and here it goes to my main fader. All of my synths, they have to go to the synth bus. The synth verb also goes to the synth bus. The synth bus goes to main. Then all my noises and effects, these purple tracks, they all have to go to the FX bus. Okay, and FX bus goes to the main. All right, little bit of housekeeping. My Juno. All right. Vintage Factory again. I'm not sure what I'm gonna use here. I do want a plucky sound. How about that harpsichord or clavichord? Don't remember. Maybe. But I don't have time, so I'm gonna kind of fly by the seat of my pants here. Definitely not that. I think this will work. All right. Let's get the arpeggio going. Sync, I think 8 notes will work. That's a little boring. Let's do like an E minor 7 chord, maybe. I like that. Okay, so just for giggles, 8 bars. Okay, I have this G, A and D. And what I could do, change it up a little bit. Yeah, that'll work. If I had more time, I would play with it more, but I think it's gonna be just fine. That's sounding good to me. Definitely not. Sounds good to me. Now let's add some effects to make it more interesting. Doesn't have any delay here. First off, let's send it to Synth reverb. Our trusty delay. Nice. I'm liking this. I like this very much. And maybe, just maybe, we could add a little bit of flanging and or phasing to make it a little more interesting. Maybe. Phases. Maybe not 100% wet, just a little bit, so we can hear it there. Okay, I'm liking this very much. That was the arpeggio for the bridge. Then the chords automate the decay or the filter or something here and there just to give them a little bit more movement since they are stale. Okay, what about what I could do with these chords is I could open the decay. Okay, I'm going to automate the decay. So this is a starting point. I'm going to create these points so they don't affect the rest of my arrangement. But I do want this to increase a little bit. I'm not sure how much. Maybe we could start from a lower point. Oop. Like so. No, that's like too plucky. Almost. Okay, I'm gonna keep this subtle because I feel the volume coming up as I open the decay, and I don't want to get into automating the volume just of this particular element at the moment, but that's fine. So during the, like I said at the beginning, for the outro, I'm going to do like the inverse mirror of the intro. Okay, that'll work. And I think here in the in-betweens, I could do this like slightly, just so there is a little bit of change in here, like that. And here, to introduce some energy, like that. I think that'll work. Okay, we got this done. Okay, let's see where we are. All right, let me just take a very brief look at our current situation before we listen to the entire thing and call it a day. All right, let's see. Yeah, I prefer ending without the crash. Like too harsh. Okay, let me get rid of that. All right, I think this is done. And if there's anything that comes to mind, I'll tweak it as the arrangement goes. But let's just, let's see. Okay, so in the end, I only automated the decay on the chords. There's some filter cutoff automation on the strings, and the automation on the opening and closing of the filter for this noise sweep. Didn't have much time to fiddle with the volume automation of each element. I like to think of every section as a scene in a movie, and I really take some time to think about what's the best balance there and tweak it, and then move on to the next section. I don't have time for that, but I think overall I'm very happy with where we are. And without further ado, let me take a sip of water. I don't see any questions here in the chat. All right, so I'm going to play this from beginning to end without saying anything, and then we'll come back and call it a day. Here we go. All right, great stuff, my friends. That's all I had for today. I hope that you found this useful and interesting. Let me know if you have any questions or comments. At the end of the day, I think we went more in a kind of 80s style, not necessarily synthwave, although many people say or argue that synthwave is based on 80s music. Maybe for you. In any case, it's not like standard synthwave, somewhere in between 80s, pop, darkish, and synthwave. And I'm really happy with the results. Again, we started with random parameters like 105 BPM for the tempo, the scale or the key of E minor, without any kind of intention. I just wanted to create something today and to be able to show it to you at the end of these 2 hours. And I'm really happy with the results. I may end up turning this into a full-length track just for you to see how what a structured approach can be to first creating some ideas that make sense, giving some thought into the elements, the layers of your stack, like I like to call them, the main stack, the 8-bar idea or 8-bar initial loop, then how to turn that into a bit of a longer arrangement on all the thought and consideration that's put into that. And the great thing that I like to think about, or that always amazes me, is that 2 hours prior, this didn't exist in the world. 2 hours later, I have some music that I created today that I'm really happy about. Now I have brought something into the world. I have given birth to music. I pulled something from the other side, from the ether, and made it material in this world. Is it the best music I've ever made of you, or you've ever heard? I don't know. Is it the worst I've ever made, or the worst you've ever heard? I don't know. Possibly somewhere in between. But that doesn't matter. This is like going to the dojo, throwing the kicks and the punches. You get better the more that you do this. The worst thing that you can do is stay still and do nothing because you don't know how to take an 8-bar loop to a full-length track, or you're afraid that whatever you do sucks. Yeah, I suck all the time. You'll suck less the more that you develop your skills. But all of this is practice. It doesn't matter to me whether I'm going to use this or not. I don't know. But I'm really happy with the results. Again, I brought something into existence that wasn't there before. This is one of the coolest things, or the magical things about music, that I wish you can experience if you make this kind of challenge or follow this kind of process. Alrighty, so without anything else, thank you very much, guys. Wolfsden, Jerome, Matt Gregory, Mick, Silhouette. Thank you very much for being here, for sticking out for the entire 2 hours. I'll see you next week on another episode of the Let's Make Synthwave show. We'll see what surprises the cat brings us. Alrighty, have a great one, guys. If you have any questions or comments, let me know.